Hey, TechKnowStuds. You know, just having data classifications isn't enough. We actually have to apply it. But how do we apply it? In this lesson, let's talk about data inventory and labeling. Once we've created some sort of scale for business data classification, so in this case we have a public, internal, confidential, and restricted, now we need to figure out how does this apply to the different data that we have within our organization. Well, the first step in this is doing some sort of data inventory. Scouring your data sources to figure out where there is data out there and how to classify that data. So one of the first times I did this, we took a look at the relational database, and we were specifically looking for customer data and personal identifiable information. And we started scouring the database and all the sources where this showed up on this database. This might require some data mapping. This is a relational database, and there's relation between a lot of this data that we have on here. The yellow lines are showing those relationships that we have within these different tables. So what we might have to do is find a piece of information, like maybe a customer record, and then trace that through these different areas to find out where that customer's data is and what data we're storing on that. So we're doing this data mapping for us to be able to do this data inventory and figure out where that PII information is located at. Then we're going to have to start tracking that. So somehow we're going to need to do some sort of data labeling, where we're going to label the data with its classification. If it's a document, some ways that we could do that is through attributes, which this file, a lot of files on your computer have attributes to it. And so perhaps we track it with one of those attributes, or maybe it has some sort of labeling mechanism. Maybe there's some way that we can keep some metadata. What metadata is data about data. And so this right here is a document. And if we were to track things separately in another document, or perhaps it's attached to the document somehow, this is data about this data. And that's what we consider metadata. So these are some ways that we could label or track these different documents and the classification of these documents. In the database, I've also used the description field to track certain information. So we could use that, or we could possibly use like a separate spreadsheet or another database, or other ways that we track the data classification of the data that we're storing within our different networks and within our different data sources.